here at Really Help You. Today is Massage Wednesday, and we're going to talk about just general like wrist pain, especially when you're maybe doing a push-up or just the flexibility of going into wrist extension and kind of loading your wrists into that position, and just kind of see if this general rollout of the forearm, which is very similar to just doing like any kind of elbow injury treatment, but see if it helps, and we'll add the Therapy Thursday with that little stretch we did. We'll add that to it as well. So the first thing is to do two things. You're going to stretch the flexors just to get an idea of how that feels, and we'll just demonstrate on. Actually, I'll do my right side. So stretch the flexors. Feel how the tension feels on that. Make sure you do a little traction and then flex, and then you can also stretch the extensors as well. Okay, so that just get a baseline of what you feel as far as that stretch feel goes. And then the other thing you do is you can load the wrists and get a feeling without me. I'll just do it on the bench. Kind of get an idea of how those wrists feel. And if you don't want to stress them as much, you can decrease your angle. So I'm like here, and then if you want to stress them a little bit more, you can come right over your hands. And ideally, again, you can be in that position without any discomfort in the wrist. And that's ultimately the goal of this video, is to try to decrease that discomfort if you have it. So again, just like the elbow injury, like any tennis elbow or a golfer's elbow, you're just gonna roll out the forearm. And I've got a tennis ball here, which typically works pretty well. Golf balls work well, especially if you have smaller forearms. And take my watch off. Or lacrosse balls work well as well. So you're just kind of rolling out, exploring the muscle tissue, and just trying to figure out if there's any areas that feel like they need a little bit more attention. Okay, and so I got a spot right about there, and then you're just going to add flexion and extension. So we're just kind of pinning down that area of the muscle, and then we're adding some movement to it. And we're just making that muscle a little more pliable, a little bit more easy to stretch when you go into that wrist extension position. And we'll do about 5. You can do some circles. And if you feel like you need to spend more time here, you can spend more time here as well. Okay, and then you're going to roll out again. And as you roll out, just exploring. You can go back to the same spot if that's where it feels like you need it. And it doesn't have to be painful. It could just feel like more dense tissue. And then once you find that next spot, you can hold it and you can do the same. Now there's other variations we can add to this. Instead of just rolling on a surface, I can take the ball and I can work it, and I can push and I can rotate, and we can do it this way. Do some deviation, some ulnar deviation, some radial deviation. So there's other options as far as that goes. Be careful when you get to your wrist, just because you've got some nerves, you got some arteries that run through there that you don't want to like put extreme pressure on. Let's just do one more spot, and you can flex and extend. So when I flex, I just allow that ball to kind of sink a little bit deeper. When I extend, I'm just stretching that fascia away as I pin down that muscle. So it's very, very simple. I try to keep these simple because they're easier to follow. We get a little more specific in the massage room, but this is great home treatment. Okay, and then just do a general rollout again. You may lose the ball on occasion. It might slip out underneath you, especially if you're on a slippery surface. And then just feel how that forearm feels. Add that, again, do that little traction and then flex and just feel if it feels any different. If it feels a little bit more broad, if it feels a little less pinchy here, if it felt pinchy there, and if it changed, maybe it was more of a stretch down here and now it's just more of a stretch up here. So some sort of change is a good thing. Okay, so that's the forearm flexor release. So then we go to the back of the forearm, which can sometimes be awkward depending on the position you can get in. But you can roll it out this way, and this you can get a little bit more pressure on, or you can use your hand as well. So you can take the ball and you can roll it out. And again, tennis ball, lacrosse ball, golf ball, all those work. And once you find a spot, just so you can see me, I'll do it this way. You can add a little rotation of the tennis ball, and then you're going to extend, allow that ball to sink a little bit deeper, and then flex to stretch it away. Just making that tissue a little bit more functional, creating some nice blood flow and pliability. Okay, and again, you can add some circles or deviations. Okay, and then just kind of roll out again, exploring that muscle tissue. Feels a little bit more dense out here, so I'm going to stop there. I'm going to add a little rotation this time, so I'm going to sink in and rotate the ball, and I'm going to do the same thing. And since I started massages this week, my arms have been getting, my forearms and hands have been working more than they have in a while. But it's awesome. Okay, and then roll out again. And we'll do one more spot. And there's definitely more muscle tissue at the closer to the closer up towards the elbow. Once you get down here, it's more tendony. Not that you can't work that. It's just as far as feel goes, the tennis ball will roll on a little bit more surface area up here. And then same thing. I'm pinning it down and I'm adding a little rotation. This time I rotated clockwise instead of counterclockwise. And this isn't a very long treatment. It's you can make it a lot longer. But this is just to get you even ready for a workout. Say your wrists bother you and you know you're going to be doing a lot of push-ups. You can do this, and maybe it loosens up your wrist just enough to where you're able to do those push-ups for that workout. So again, add that traction, and we'll go into the wrist extension. And it feels much lighter of a stretch. I barely feel almost anything for full range. And then what we go to is we go to that. I'll go this way. We load the wrist and feel how that feels and see if that made a difference. Because ideally, if everything's functioning properly, that wrist should glide back. Those carpals should kind of glide back, and there you shouldn't get pinching in here, right? So see if that made a difference for that. Hopefully it did, and if it did, try it before a workout, or if your wrists are bothering you during the day, and see if that makes a difference. All right, let me know what you think, and let me know what you'd like to see in the future. That is Massage Wednesday, and we worked on the forearm and wrist.